So Dave, welcome to Gaming and Advertising.
Thanks, Vincent. I'm excited to talk about a topic that's just growing and growing in importance these days.
So before we kick off, it might be a good idea for you to give a bit of background on yourself and Simulmedia's journey I think many people who do know you guys will know you as a TV advertising focused company. But you've sort of developed a deep and keen interest in gaming now. And yeah, it might be good to sort of talk about that journey.
Great. So as you know, my background is digital ad tech. I've been in this business for more than 25 years, starting, early ad serving, banners, behavioral targeting, started Simulmedia 13 years ago to bring a digital approach to TV advertising. And basically, our core business is a demand side platform for marketers and agencies to execute data optimized campaigns across linear TV, streaming, and now increasingly video gaming. And yeah, I mean, everybody knows us as the data-driven linear TV ad folks. And that's been a great business, and it continues to be an extraordinary business. I mean, we've been growing that business 50% per year on the top line year over year for the third year in a row now. But it also became really clear in the last number of years that while as linear TV was plateauing in viewership and then declining, and while more people were moving to streaming, it was not a one-for-one basis. The amount of linear decline and linear TV advertising decline was not being compensated for with the same amount of streaming growth or ad-supported streaming growth. And then you ask, well, where is everybody? If they're not watching TV, where are they? And you're like, if they're under 40, the odds are not just under 40, but if they're actually, probably more normal than anybody else, they're playing video games.
I know, yeah. Well, as a 43-year-old gamer, I felt very excluded there. I'm glad you took a step back from that one.
But Vincent, this is one of the biases that people bring to this until you actually get to understand the industry. And I have to admit, while I have dabbled in the industry really since high school, I did not realize until I got deeper into this that, this isn't a kid's phenomena. This is a mainstream phenomena. So as I said, if you're not normal, though, or the only ones that are not actually interacting with games, and obviously, we have casual games on mobile phones, which are all ages, and that's my mother and mother-in-law down to my children. But even the hardcore AAA premium console-driven games, among them, the heaviest players are people in their 40s.
I can well believe it. Too much time on our hands. No social life. Our raving days are behind us. So I think today, considering this is a bit of a, there'll be a lot of people at this event today who might not be all that familiar with the TV industry and what's happening in CTV. It might be good to just frame the discussion in terms of what you think is happening in AVOD today. You mentioned about that the streaming side isn't quite picking up the slack from the decline in regular linear viewing. Do you feel like CTV strategies and AVOD strategies particularly are they working out for the TV industry?
Well, I would say that the AVOD strategies are getting better. And I would say they're working out for the industry, and that for those that are diving into it deeply, they're learning a lot. They're bringing in new people and new technologies, and they're starting to capture audiences, but not on a like-for-like basis. So, but I applaud them for taking those steps. So I'll speak a little bit US centric here, but obviously the things we're talking about are global. It's a global business and global industry developing. So I hope everybody bears with me a little bit in, my sort of classic Americanism of talking about the numbers I know, but I will speak to global numbers as well when I can. In the United States, the average person watches about 4 hours of TV per day on average. Now, there's a real skew, because I said on average. There's a lot of people who are older, who are lower income, who watch 7 hours a day. And there's an awful lot of people that watch almost none or less than an hour a day. And so it comes out at about 4. And that's been declining about 15 minutes a year for a little bit. And it's going to continue going down. In fact, probably as I'm speaking is probably more like 3 hours and 45 minutes. Streaming has been picking up, and the average American viewer is watching more than an hour and a half of streaming a day. So it's about 25% of all viewing on average on televisions. Now, that's led by services like Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, Hulu, increasingly like HBO Max, and then increasingly some smaller, newer services like Peacock. And that's wonderful, and that the TV companies are finding ways to distribute their content to these audiences as those are growing. And those audiences are growing, let's say, 20% per year now on a bigger base. The challenge is, though, of all time viewing advertising on a TV, while streaming has now captured 25% of the content time, it's only 4% of the advertising time. 96% of the advertising time is still delivered in conventional TV because the early streaming services are not ad supported. So I would say the TV companies have good strategies in starting to capture audiences and sort of develop those muscles, but they haven't built the full monetization capacity yet. Now we have like Discovery Plus launched a hybrid service like Hulu that also has some ad support. We'll see how that comes together with HBO Max and the Warner Media properties when that deal closes in a year. So they're in the game, is what I would say. And I give them a lot of credit for they're in the game with both feet.
And then sort of in terms of where you see the gaming industry coming in and the role that it's playing, I mean, it'd be good to speak a bit more deeply about what you guys are planning.
Right. So here's what we learned. So today, if you're an advertiser in the United States and you want to reach a specific audience, these could be folks likely, young men or young women likely to buy drugstore and toiletry products in a package on a subscription basis on a monthly, whether it's like a Dollar Shave Club kind of product. And you want to use first-party data to do it, and you want to find them all the way, anywhere they might be on television or streaming. That's what Simulmedia does. We match the first-party data. We have a projectable data set of tens and tens of millions of people's actual viewing behaviors that we can map to those in a privacy-safe way. We have a point of view on where all of the several hundred million people who watch TV in the United States are likely to be, and we find them. We find them if they're in linear, anywhere in the top 115 TV networks. And then we find them in streaming, and we're able to do it and package it with a Nielsenized rating. We can track whether they actually converted. So we basically brought a digital approach to TV advertising: automation, prediction, dashboards, push button activation, integrated measurement reporting, and closed loop. But we had a problem. And I would say first it was a problem in positioning, and then I would say it was a problem in substance. And the problem is that the positioning part is TV is not the sexiest thing in the world. So one of the reasons that we started exploring an area like video games, which we knew had very big audiences, where there is something about being part of the future and being part of what's bright and shiny very directly that made it interesting. And so, but as we started digging in and exploring, we realized that we had a substantive problem in our business that was looming, which is while we could reach a lot of different people in TV, increasingly there were audiences that were not going to be efficiently reached in TV. They were younger, they were more, and by younger here, I mean, literally under 49. If you want an 18 to 49-year-olds, what used to be the core demographic, that's younger, you can't find them nearly as much as on regular TV. And on streaming, because there's not much advertising load, you can't find them there either. So we questioned, where were they? And it became really clear that they were on games. And this isn't just a COVID thing. This has been many, many, many years coming. I mean, Fortnite was well over 100 million people playing on a weekly basis before COVID. And then we found that for marketers, when you talk to a marketer, they really want to reach the full demographic stack. They want to reach TV viewers, they want to reach cord cutters, and they want to reach gamers. It's just really hard to get the gamers.
So, and how responsive have the gaming publishers been to this, to the idea of integrating ads into their games? I'm curious
So
where they're going to appear as well, how they would make it.
Yeah, it's well, it's they've been very careful, and as I would too. So as you know, in the mobile gaming, the casual gaming world, there's a really, really substantial advertising business there. Depending on you count it, it's well over $35 billion a year on a global basis. And those are app download games. These are not very complex games. They're fun games, but they're not deep studio games where $150 million has been invested to make the game. That's the world of the AAA game publishers. And they have worked with advertising sponsorships for the better part of the last 10 to 15 years. But in the entire $175 billion gaming business, that's under $1 billion. So it's deep integrations around, for EA and FIFA Live to take the FIFA sponsors and integrate them into the experience. Expensive to do. They sort of, the advertising sits in the background. It certainly has a lot of effectiveness, but it's not a highly scaled advertising business. And it's certainly nothing that looks like the programmatic world we know. So, but, there are game publishers that have been looking at new ways to do things, dynamic in-game ads, which can be sort of like more animated banners along the walls of a racing game or something like that. Still a deep integration, not a highly scaled programmatic solution necessarily, but not like what we know in TV. A couple things have happened though that are now creating an openness to at least explore. And one of them is the move to free-to-play games. So probably the biggest phenomena in the console-driven premium AAA and on TV and PC gaming world are that the fact that the really now highly produced games, like a Fortnite, like a Apex Legend, they're free to play, and they're paid for out of live services, which are people buying coins, rewards, tokens that they can use for increased capabilities, extended time duration, cosmetics, skins. And so the gaming companies are dealing with real business model shifts. Now, those payments are extraordinary. I mean, we got a little glimpse into some of the Fortnite numbers in this, some filings in the lawsuit with Apple, but we're looking at between $4 and $6 billion a year coming out of services payments. And but what a lot of people don't realize is a very small group of the gamers pay. It's 5 to 10% of the gamers are actually swiping a credit card. And so the gaming industry is very interested in finding ways to bring in high value, gamer-friendly advertising that can balance some of the economics they have in live services.
Yeah, what does that look like? In terms of it being gamer-friendly, I believe it can be done. But it might not be, a full screen 30-second spot. But perhaps
it can be, and I'm going to tell you. So we haven't talked. I mean, we've been friends for a number of years, Vincent, and we've talked. You and I have talked about these issues, and so as you know, I've been very hesitant to talk very publicly about what we were doing. 100% for the reason that you'd imagine that people are nervous about how advertising can be brought into environments that are very tight and with a community that is not very tolerant of anything that is not done the right way. So we've had partnership with a couple of the large game publishers for more than a year, and in one case, the better part of 2. One EA, another High Res, one of the a company owned by Tencent, the world's largest game publisher, and we've been working to introduce TV-like advertising, but under a bunch of really, really, we believe, gamer-centric doctrines. Number one, all user permissioned, all opt-in. So if you are in the game Smite today. And while you are waiting in queue for your, which is a multiplayer battle royale game with a fantasy twist, while you're waiting for your fellow team members and combatants to show up, which can be 3 to 5 minutes, you have a chance to get free stuff. Rewards, tokens, coins that you're not going to have to pay for, but you can watch advertising for. And so you get to click on it while you're waiting in the lobby, essentially. Those ads take over your screen so that it's taking over your 55-inch TV screen while you're in there with your headphones waiting. So it's about as engaged of an environment as you could possibly get. And you're going to watch advertising that has all been selected because it's the right kind of advertising for a gaming environment. Some of it's been produced with that. So a lot of it's entertainment industry. It could be John Cena for Experian. It's going to be high quality, top advertising. It's skippable. Any one of the ads at any one point, the person doesn't want to watch it, they can skip it. And when they complete it, they get rewarded.
Yeah.
We did a lot of user testing. And you know, I got to give credit to game publishers are really careful about those things. And the reaction of the gamers has been positive. It has been positive sentiment. We're all tracking very closely, as you'd imagine, Reddit and Discord to make sure that we're doing the right things. There's been a lot of surveys sent out to the gamers. On the sports-oriented titles, it's looking for things in some of the natural breaks, but the same thing. We believe that the critical elements are permissioned, which means opt-in, skippable. If it's crappy creative, I want to click right through it, move right through it, and rewarded. I should be able to watch to earn. And what's interesting is that we're actually finding in early tests that not only is there positive user sentiment, people are like, hey, great, this is great. I got another way to get points, coins, tokens, not just paying, but that those that are accepting those ads are playing more and spending more in cash.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah. I suppose it's the hard.
And this is a fundamental, and they've learned this in the mobile world too. And as part of it, it's a gamification of the advertising. You have to limit the ad load. You have to make the ad scarce. The last thing you want to do is make it like, drop a 16-minute ad load on somebody in an hour like they do on some, on some cable. Right now we're running in about 2 hour per user session, game session. Any one game itself, they can only watch up to 6 ads, which is about 1.5 to 2 minutes. We're seeing on average that the gamers are watching about 15 ads, 15 and 30-second ads over 2 hours. So that's a lighter ad load than Hulu, but probably somewhat comparable, like a somewhat light Hulu.
And how do you measure this? Is there a way to unify the measurement of this with somebody who's running TV campaigns? Everybody's quite silos these days. Yeah.
So Simulmedia operates at a unique spot. We are in linear TV, we're in CTV streaming AVOD TV, and we're in gaming. So I can't sell 3 different buckets with 3 different measurements. So just as we did when we went into data-driven linear, we have taken the core currency of TV in the United States, Nielsen. We've Nielsenized our connected TV streaming delivery. So we can also give, the Nielsen digital ad ratings. We can give ad server impression counts, but we're adding both. So both the TV currency imputed by this massive matching panel, which contains the Nielsen currency, and the actual ad server count, which can include some first-party data, which makes it even more robust. So many ways you get 1 + 1 is 3 or 4 or 5. We're doing the same in gaming. We're making sure that that what is being viewed through the Xbox or the PlayStation or the PC, but that is all authenticated users, that we're able to leverage model projections against that user data. We're imputing Nielsen data today, though obviously with Nielsen selling what I think it's core long-term data currency to Roku, the Grace Note data, we're now exploring with ComScore, maybe there'll be a better and different solution because that's their automatic content recognition data that otherwise is a currency. and being able to give both a TV currency to the delivery as well as a digital ad rating delivery for the delivery of the ad and the full ad server that you would expect to get on a programmatic banner or connected TV delivery.
And what type of first party data does a gaming publisher typically have? You know, yeah, I mean.
So we're being really careful here. And that I'll talk a little bit about the kind of data they have, but I'll talk about what also will be available in the delivery. So we're basically operating very similarly to Hulu. So imagine that, you know, you have a fair amount of the game publisher themselves they have license data. They have, because people have to execute these licenses. There's certainly everything down to internet protocol and email address, because there's verification on these things. So they have very, very robust first party data. And the first thing I'll tell you is that to us is sacrosanct, just as is the gamer's data, because they are a custodian of proprietary information, as is the gamer. So we are never, ever, ever going to let these gaming environments be used for a pair of shoes to retarget you around an Xbox. We're going to be really careful because this audience is scarce, it's pristine, it's precious. And so there is a lot of data there, but we're using it for some double-blind match modeling to be able to have people execute against first-party data campaigns, do cohort targeting, which is obviously where the programmatic world is going after Google's Flock initiative. And so I would say my simple answer is they have very robust first-party data, but it's going to be leveraged in an incredibly privacy-protecting and proprietary data-protecting way.
And where would the budgets for this type of inventory come from, do you think? I mean, where do you think these budgets are sitting today? You know, is this?
Well, it's timely.
Killer. So tell me it's a YouTube killer.
It's timely you're asking this at this moment. So in the US TV market, we're in that special moment that we have on an annual basis called the upfront. We're here without the big parties and those things, but that's okay. And so we have currently today, we're in front of about a dozen large agency buyers and some others with an upfront primarily targeted to TV budgets, because you have these massive TV budgets, 65 plus billion in the United States, more than 20 billion committed on an upfront basis, that with a declining audience on linear TV that are increasingly going to connected TV. And so we're making sure that everything we do complies with all of the connected TV requirements, because it is a connected TV. It's just gaming. You can buy connected TV ads on like Hulu, like on movies and TV shows. And now you're going to buy connected TV ads that are delivered inside gaming environments. So part of it is coming out of the TV budgets, shifting to connected TV. However, as you'd imagine, we're having exactly the same conversations around the people that have been buying gaming historically, who were limited in sponsorship or limited only in app downloads on mobile, who know that they need to get to gaming for endemic purposes. And so that budget is a bit more of a siloed gaming digital budget. And then because of the forced experimentation of the pandemic, another set of budgets have become available and are interested, or the out-of-home budget. Because the out-of-home budget is this large screen dynamic video environment. Now, some are more passive. Doesn't equate very well to gaming, but let's say cinema advertising. That's quite similar. High engaged, high quality studio. I'm stuck here waiting for the movie to start. I'm going to watch some of these ads. And so we have some coming from there as well. So I would say, like every time there's a new channel developing, it's a bit opportunistic, but given the declines of TV, the high price of CTV, and the unavailability of these audiences that are gaming, we're finding there's an awful lot of budget interested in chasing this right now.
And how do you think the TV industry, and in saying TV industry, in this instance, I'm going to encompass everyone. I think everyone's watching Netflix and is quite interested in the hints they're making, whether it's more interactive content or games, it remains to be seen. But they seem to be hinting that that's part of their future. And they've, Reed Hastings has sort of cited Fortnite as a sort of worthy competitor for eyeballs. Do you think that they're going to embrace this and view gaming as almost an additional pillar of their offering, or is the gaming industry going to go it alone and possibly go the other way, where they're the ones that...
It's a great question. I think that you cannot dominate people's video and the highly engaged video consumption behaviors today and over the next 10 years if you don't have a gaming strategy. Simple. If Netflix does not have a gaming strategy, they will not be in the right spot 5 to 10 years from now, not where they could be otherwise. Amazon, as you know, has been investing heavily, somewhat unsuccessfully. I mean, they've been trying to publish games for a while. They've been hiring amazing game devs and they have flopped. But they bought Twitch and they've become a dominant player together with YouTube in the streaming around the gaming world, which is it's sort of a secondary or tertiary ring around the gaming world. But I think it's essential. I don't think there's any question that that Netflix is going to be playing here. And I think for the rest of the TV industry, a lot of them have owned intellectual property over the years, like, Warner Brothers in gaming and Viacom owned games, and they license that intellectual property to game publishers and joint ventures to publish. I think we'll increasingly see, and we've seen movies and TV shows that have game IP in them perform much better than those that don't. So just watch. So clearly Disney, the new Discovery, Warner Brothers, they're going to have to go this direction, or Warner Brothers Discovery, I guess may be the name. But, I think the big ones are Google, Amazon, Facebook, Alibaba. Those companies are looking at Tencent and what it's done and say they may have no choice but to be significant owners, and probably, and then I think there'll be a question, will game publishers buy TV companies? Will game publishers be sold to the large digital tech platforms? Can the digital tech platforms build their own? Netflix was able to do a lot of building their own to get to their position. Amazon's trying that right now in gaming. We'll see how that goes. I'll tell you the area that's probably most interesting to watch, and this is the place where I think we'll see the intersection happen in the next couple of years. A lot of the AAA console games have been delivering streamed broadcast video inside their environments. So you see that with Fortnite, with movie trailers, concerts. I mean, their sponsored concerts are making a lot of money on those. You see things like 2K putting some streams inside some of their games. I think that's probably going to be the anchor that is a little closer to how the TV video world worked, which is putting more video content that is more streaming like inside the authenticated game environment. And then they're going to become new virtual MVPDs. So why shouldn't a game publisher become the place that you can watch all the content you want? So I think it may be hard for Netflix to own and control big games. I mean, yeah, it could go by Roblox, but is it really the best owner of Roblox? I mean, Roblox is used by 50% of all middle school students in the United States today. So, but might it want to be providing Netflix streams inside the Roblox environment that are authenticated as a way to get to younger people and younger families early? That might happen.
Interesting. So what's your prediction? I love it. I love a Dave Morgan prediction. What's your prediction for the gaming industry over the coming year? You've kind of just given us a few good ones there, but.
Well, I think console and PC advertising on video advertising on console and PC games in 5 years is at least a $5 billion business, and maybe closer to 10, because the TV budgets have a capacity to shift to where the audiences are. The audiences are not yet in AVOD, but they can be turned on quickly. If any one of the big players moved, any one of the top 5 games, with ad loads lighter than we're using against 15, 20, 30% of the players, not unlike the live services participants on an annual basis on those games. Each one of them could consume more than $1 billion incremental each year in high quality brand advertising that was user permissioned in. So that's what's going to happen. And I think as some of the games move more into a harvest mode, as you know, they always do go through their cycle, we're going to see them. I'll just tell you, with the mid-tail games we're working with right now, one of the games, you know, I'd say it's maybe the 40th largest game in the world, as a multiplayer battle royale category. So 40th in a category. On a person's 2 and older basis, total impressions, it's a top 100 cable network in the United States. If I put it on an 18 to 49 basis, it's a top 25. If I put it on a men 18 to 34 basis, in other words, how many men can it deliver on an 18 to 34 basis? It's a top 3 TV network. I'm talking ABC, NBC, CBS size scale. And it's actually a little bit bigger. So the point is, that's one mid-sized game. So what I think you may see is we may see a huge leapfrogging of the TV video world by the gaming companies. First in, because they've got these highly valuable audiences, and we started at the top of the session. It's not just the middle school kids in Roblox. No, it's the 40-year-olds. I mean, and 50-year-olds. So I think we're going to see gaming will be the tail that wagged the dog that becomes the dog that's wagging the TV tail in 5+ years.
Fascinating. Yeah, I can see how it's going to happen. I just think it's a question of whether they're going to actually commit to it or not, or whether they'll remain too fearful. But like I say,
it's not their choice. It's not their choice. This is the other thing I've learned about gaming, and you know well because you're a gamer. The gamer's in charge there. It's not sitting back and waiting for the content stream to come to you. It's deciding what you're going to do and going for it. And so the audience is there. There's not a question. It's massive in scale. Their economics are massive in scale, and the advertisers want to reach them. And the advertisers cannot get all the outlets that they want in TV. So they're going to go there. And oh, by the way, a 6-second pre-roll on YouTube, you know, literally skateboarding cat video is nothing like watching a 30-second or 15-second permissioned ad in a highly engaged studio built environment that cost $150 million to create and has 60 million people playing it on a weekly or monthly basis. So I don't think that this is not up to the TV industry to determine. It's up to the users, and this is a global play. And if we look at the demographics outside the United States, because the demographics I'm giving you largely are inside the United States, they're much more mainstream outside the United States.
Yeah.
Particularly emerging markets.
I can well believe it. I have a nephew who was filling out free surveys in exchange for games vouchers, pretending to be a 29-year-old iPhone owner who drove a Mercedes. So I know that there's very strong appetite amongst particularly young people, where if they can get something for free through advertising or through slightly more illicit means like my nephew, they'll embrace it. And I can see this being generally very popular. Dave, it's been an absolute pleasure as always. Thanks very much for taking the time.
You're welcome. Thank you, Vincent, and thanks everybody for listening, and hopefully this has been helpful.